maybe dispatch has information, but now he's over there doing something, whatever. And then now he's not getting pertinent information.
Yeah.
It's just a mess.
We've shown up on vehicle barricades where, shots fired, vehicle barricades. We get there. And I have this, I have this one slide in a presentation, and it really tells everything. You have the suspect vehicle. You have the female driver who's surrendering because she's already been shot because this was a car-to-car gunfight on the freeway. And then you have your typical felony traffic stop. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the overhead, you can look at the rooftops, and it identifies cars, what stations you come from, what agency you work at, and you can count the 10 or 12 cars that are stacked up behind the suspect vehicle. It's probably about 4 or 5 different agencies. There's some cars that are not even marked. They're slick cars.
Yeah.
And there's no one in them.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, who's this? Yeah. And where is this person?
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, before we even worry about this over here, get this out of here.
Yeah.
And then let's start working this problem, because I have no idea what's going on back here. And sometimes you have a lot of time to do that. Sometimes it has to be done like quick.
Yeah.
Because the problem is just going. But that initial, it's like any radio call when you're working patrol. You get that shooting call that occurs, everybody's coming, radio traffic is really like kind of jumping around. And then eventually you kind of button it up, and it's like, now you got it. Now you have control over it. It's the same thing. Like SWAT work is patrol. It's just patrol with more people. Yeah. Cool toys, more people, maybe a little more experience, more equipment, but ultimately we're just patrol. Yeah. Everything starts in patrol, no matter what.
With your company, do you travel around and you provide this type of instruction, or what are classes that your company offers to other SWAT teams?
So like for Larry, I think it's a little bit more like logistically, it's easier for us to be able to just do kind of a classroom, more of like a presentation setting. And we do incident debriefs. So when we're doing conferences, we've done actual classes in other conferences, but to answer your question, we have classes for all kinds of different stuff. The post classes that we have, the armored vehicle class that we have, which is post approved. It's the only post class in California for armored vehicle. We have kind of a relationship a little bit with Lenco, because SEB runs Lencos for everything. So anytime somebody buys an armored truck, but they want to know how to use it, Lenco just sends them to us. Hey, call those guys.
Nice.
Teradyne, who's also here, they saw what we were doing in California. They reached out to us, and they asked if we would be like, hey, are you guys, loyal to anybody? And we're like, we're a training provider. Like whatever truck shows up in the parking lot, we're going to show you how to use it. Yeah. We don't really care.
Yeah.
And everybody has different stuff. Mm-hmm. So we do an armored vehicle class, which is pretty popular. We have SWAT school updates. So like in California, post doesn't require, but they recommend after you've gone through SWAT school, you should do about an update every couple of years. And it could be anything within the curriculum of SWAT school. So we created a 16-hour and a 24-hour SWAT update class, because that fits into most part-time teams' training time.
Yeah.
And then just recently, although George was the one that pushed it, and I was a little bit reluctant, but I will say he was correct. I was wrong.
Hold on, say that again. Tell George.
Yeah, he was correct. I was wrong.
You heard that, George.
We were asked to create an 80-hour SWAT school. So we did.
That's a huge undertaking.
And it was not easy to do. We did it. We went back and forth with Post. They worked really well with us. We got that class approved, and we are now basically we can take SWAT school to you. So what we've done is we have a relationship with Carlsbad down in San Diego, Oxnard, which is in Ventura County, San Luis Obispo up in the Santa Maria, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara area, we're with the sheriff's office, and then all the way up to San Mateo, which is the Bay Area. So we're running a SWAT school at each location every year. So instead of having to send your guys with the travel cost, we bring the class to you, and then anybody local can go to it, and the agencies don't have to incur travel cost. They just send their guys to the class and they go home at the end of the day. It's like a regular in-service training. it's obviously 2 weeks, but it's a post-approved class. It's been pretty popular.
Yeah, you guys look like you've been killing it.
It's been getting consistently busier. I think the big reason for that is our guys are still full-time SWAT operators, and they teach for us as well. And I think that's some of the students, like we explain that to them, but they don't really get to see it until, and it, inevitably it always happens, is somebody that is on the schedule to teach can't make it because they're on a call out. And it's like, hey, Rich Diliberti was supposed to be teaching this class for you, but he's been on a call out since last night, so I'm going to do it. And they're like, well, these guys they're not messing around.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big draw. I think a lot of agencies have, guys there's nothing wrong with guys that are retired and teaching at all. A lot of guys have a lot of experience, even though they're retired, they have a wealth of knowledge. But I do think there is something to be said for the guys that are teaching you are still doing this full time.
Yes, absolutely.
And they have very current information.
Yep, so. Absolutely, for sure. Any other classes you guys offer? I know that's a lot, but
we do.
I want you to name every single one of them.
Yes.
Can you do that?
Well, I'm just, if anybody's like watching or listening to this and they're interested in, having you guys come out, obviously they can go to your website, but
we have a advanced urban sniper course, which we just got post approved. We have a 16-hour tactical medical integration class that we just got post approved. Red dot pistol instructor class, which everybody's looking for those. Everybody's making that transition now. Yeah. We have a high risk warrant service, like planning and preparation course, active shooter class, but that's, there's a lot of that out there. I would say probably the SWAT school, the SWAT update classes, the ARV classes are usually the ones that are the most popular, are the ones that we get the most inquiry about, and it's because there just aren't a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
And we have a big catalog.
Yeah. It's
and I know we're talking a lot about California and we're talking about being California post certified, but I just want to clarify for everybody, you guys go all over the country.
All over the country.
Not just bound to California.
We've gone to other countries. George and I went to Dubai and then went to Oman, Muscat, Oman. They purchased a fleet of armored vehicles, most of which were from Lenco, but there were other vendors that they bought for the entire country, and they needed training. So Lenco said, call these guys.
That's cool.
Wow.
George has gone to Brazil, and then through the sheriff's department, we've gone to Germany, Israel, South Korea, Canada several times. We have a very good, the county and some agencies up in Canada, very good working relationship. So that's cool. A lot of times, and then Teradyne is from Canada. So now we're getting calls to go up to Canada because they're purchasing those armored vehicles and they want training.
Nice.
So we'll go anywhere. Most of our stuff happens in California because of the post approval.
Sure.
But it is, I would say if we're doing 40 classes a year, probably 30 of them are in California, maybe, and then another 10 to 15 are anywhere in the country.
Nice. What's the debriefs that you guys were debriefing here at the?
We did 2 debriefs this morning. One was, again, because we try to tailor the class to the audience. Mm-hmm. So it's obviously a hostage rescue class, and the more you teach, you get your system down of like how to keep the students engaged.
Yeah.
So it's a hostage rescue lecture, which is a very basic, like the fundamentals of hostage rescue, or at least how we approach it. But we'll bookend it with debriefs. Everybody loves a good debrief.
Yeah.
So the one we did this morning was a call out that we had up in Lancaster, which started at the patrol level, raised a lot of questions about whether the patrol officers should have done the crisis entry. And you're going to get differences of opinion no matter who you ask. Were they right? Were they wrong? Maybe, maybe not. But if it creates conversation, that's the takeaway. It makes people think.